VK and their collection of cuddly animals are going to take on Suning and their collection of very awkward posers. We've got XHX for VK and we have Siu for Sunning. They desperately need a win at 2 and 5, but Siu seems okay. XHX, one of the rising stars in this young and new VK team that is, of course, spearheaded by our world champion, Lion. We're going to have Demon Hunter versus Priest, and the first thing every good caster checks, and the bad ones check as well, is are both Priests up? And they are! So, everybody hold tight, we could be here for 25 hours. Demon Hunter versus Priest, though, could get the Priest out of the way earlier in this last hero standing matchup. Demon Hunter's job is to give sustained pressure, and it's not going to do it with a 5, a 5, a 6 and a 5 in its hand. This is just demoralising when you get this hand as a Demon Hunter taking on Priest. But it's not all doom and gloom. There's plenty of 1 and 2 drops in these decks to get things back on track. Going to have to do it the hard way though if he does it. Priest already with Apotheosis in hand and the Swampoos. It's going to be just so difficult here for XHX to get a foothold in this, but does seem to be a strong player. Not a huge amount known about him until this tournament, but he had a very good first week, and see how he goes now. Well, picking up Penance is absolutely perfect here. And it's just going to be one of the hardest games ever for XHX to do anything about here. Suning also quite a new team. I think Jing was one of the original signings, and that's only 18 months ago or something. I've sort of lost track of time like many people have in recent times, but choosing to play down the Swampoos, it's a little bit curious to me, but he knows there's going to be no Umberwing. And there's a lot of games between now and turn 5, which is when he might start to see more weapons. So choosing to preserve his Penance. Interesting to see how that plays out. He has a Penance that he wouldn't have otherwise had. In position now. I was just trying to check it was a Penance. You start doubting yourself sometimes when the cards aren't in your native language. And this will be why he kept the Penance. Actually, would have worked out really nicely if he'd had the chance to play into this, and he would have had no answer the other way. So that makes a lot of sense now. Shadow Weaver 4-3, very hard to deal with those 4 attack minions. Every caster said it for all of eternity, and it's true. But now it's been played a turn later, Siu does have the option to time rip it, and rip it he does. And so far he's sustained a total of 3 damage. And what's worse for the Demon Hunter is not just that he didn't get the stuff early, but he's going to start drawing it now when there might not be much call for it. But that said, if every turn he gets to play a 5-drop and a 1-drop alongside it, maybe it'll just put a bit of extra pressure on Siu than you would expect. Well, Madame Lazul's as good a time as any to play it, I think. Obviously you've got to have a look at everything else, but you know his hand's full of good stuff. Let's have some of that. Send it over here. But that's not worked out the best for him. I guess you can just take the Metamorphosis and use it as a removal spell. Kills off the 2 6/4s quite nicely. But Siu disagrees. He's going to go with the Mage and just get some more board presence. I'd have liked to see Metamorphosis taken there, I think. He doesn't have much removal in hand. But then he also wants to stick a minion and try and get Apotheosis on it, and then that'll be the end of the game, and that way. Priest also has a tough time emptying its hand. So that's another reason to take a 1-drop. XHX a little bit more engaged now, though he's extremely careful at the best of times. But a bit more engaged now, he actually has cards he can play. Oddly enough. Not missing a swing with the weapon either. Did wonder if maybe he would hold back so that next turn he can do the Overseer and trade into a load of things a load of times. Trickery. But I do agree with not missing a swing if possible, especially when your hand is this heavy. You're going to draw the other one quite a lot of the time before you get through this one, so why not? But now I think it is time to challenge your opponent to have Breath of the Infinite. Play down the Overseer. You might play Spectral Sight first just to see what you pick up. But play down the Overseer, swing, swing, swing. Make a load of 2/2s. You're never going to get a better chance with it, so you might as well. You're fully aware that it's probably going to get breathed. That's nice. Now you really want to do it, because you have a 4/4. That's difficult for Priest to remove. Gonna have to take some chunky damage, but that's kind of how Demon Hunter works. And splitting the difference in danger there. Doesn't want to take another 2. Wants to deliver more to the face. Oh wait, he only had 1. It's fine. He only had the 1 damage available, of course, because the weapon had actually worn off. Would have been an interesting equation the other way. All depends whether he would have set up lethal or not. So he probably wouldn't have done that unless he was forced to. More removal with the forbidden words, so see, he's got as much removal as he wants, although he doesn't seem to be taking much removal. Okay. This time he does. And it looks like he's going for Forbidden Words, the 4/4. Just trying to plan some other things out first. Yeah, that's the trouble. Missing your turn here, and this is definitely a way into the game here for XHX. He has got this bit of a mess where he needs to play the Metamorphosis this turn, really, but you don't want to do that. You want it to be a bit of a closer. But I think it's absolutely key that he frees up this skull. I guess he could hero power down and play the second Adept and try and get to the skull from the other side. He's up to 9 mana next turn, so any 3-drop plus skull would work if he dumped his hand this turn. Your opponent has shown that they can't deal with all the boards, so getting the Gladebound Adept down may not be as bad as it first feels either. And you want to play the Mage as well. You don't want to walk into Breath of the Infinite like this, but the whole point of this play is to be able to play the skull, and he's chosen not to. And plus, on another note, I mean, I just want to... I just don't think he's got the Breath of the Infinite at this point. Obviously, I don't think he's got it, because I'm a caster, and I can see he hasn't got it. But just the way that the game has been going, it doesn't feel like he's ever had a Breath of the Infinite in his hand. So I think I'd have dumped the Mage there. And then next turn, pick up something that costs 3 or less, which is almost everything in his deck now, apart from maybe Altruis. And Altruis may be the reason that he didn't want to play the Mage. Maybe he's going to play the Metamorphosis next turn and then try to skull into Altruis. He's down to 16 cards. That would make sense. He probably felt the Mage never connects. Okay. So Sue has nothing going on here. Time Rip keeps him alive, Also advances the Galacon for maybe some chance next time. I think he needs a Shadow Madness or something here. And he needs to do it quickly. He's somehow got into trouble over pretty straightforward turn here. We've seen, obviously it's not going to be as bad for the Chinese competitors, but we have seen Team Liquid rope out at least 3 times. And I did speak to Bunny Hopper very, very briefly about that. It was barely a conversation. I just mentioned it, and I'm not going crazy. They have had some issues with a lag, and he says they fully anticipated that when they signed up for the tournament and had absolutely no complaints about it. So that's really good to see. Okay. So it's tried to stabilise, but it's just probably going to die here. There's so many cards that end this game on the spot, and that is one of them. 1-0 to XHX. And no problems there. There's more! He's got 5 of those little icons. Like, he's a thinker. That's the brain with a star in it. And he's got an electric attitude. I don't know, I'm going to make up my own so I know what they mean. But the warrior is queued in to the demon hunter. Very, very warrior favoured. And I just want to see if he keeps the risky skipper and the Corsair cash. Or if he just keeps the cash. The trouble is only having 3 cards, obviously. And you do want to go first, believe it or not. It doesn't always feel like it when you look at the maths. There's a huge difference in going first and second, especially for demon hunters. It really wants to go first. But yeah, skipper Corsair cash is definitely keepable. I'm not even worried about XHX's hand. Like, it's just, how many 1-drops would you like, sir? And obviously, again, that can be a good thing because by the time they're getting blown up, you're drawing the better stuff. And he's actually going to chuck one away because he's planned out his first 2 turns and look for some 3-drops. You really wouldn't mind a Shadow Weaver to freeze up Seo's board. Trying to work out if Seo had already mulliganed. Okay. The decisions start on turn 1 for Demon Hunters. And you do get less time on turn 1. It was pushed for by a lot of more casual players. And I understand the frustration. Like, my opponent has done nothing and he's only got 1 choice to make. Well, you've got 3 1-drops. You've got to choose whether you're going to play 1 or 2 of them. And you also have the option to play 1 and hero power in the case of the Battle Fiend. So, it's not easy. This one's not particularly complicated, but sometimes it's just not easy. And you can see he, again, not particularly amazing or anything, but he planned this out on the mulligan, knowing that he was going to go to this, followed by 1-drop hero power, most likely. And that just buffs things up for him, as he wanted. So that's where he wanted to be, and that's where he got. No need for other 1-drop. Try to give himself the best chance of getting a 3-drop, and we will find out next card whether he got that right or not. Double Armour Smith in hand for Siu. He got the 3-drop, but he didn't get a weapon to go with it. Now, there is a case for just playing this. I don't think you do. I think you play this, draw cards, get some more damage in. But there was a case for just playing it out there. It will do 4 damage when the opponent trades in and you don't have much time. But I certainly prefer this. And the worst thing about playing its warrior is when they start gathering their hand like this, you know that you are in so much trouble. And now you're also in so much trouble. And already wishing that you had more mana and more time. And what do you even do here? I think you're on 30. Well, XHX is on 30, so playing the Overseer and hero powering into the 5/6 is fine. And then next turn you just go weapon, double slice to get to 5. And because you put your face into this 5/6, it's not going to be any more than 5. And then you get to do a load of trades. And you're fine. He's going to use 1 slice. Okay. Getting the maximum amount of tempo and damage in he can. But now, one more turn is what Siu wants. But I think he's not going to get that one more turn. He's just going to go Armor Smith, I think. He could even go Armor Smith, Titanic. But I think he'll go Armor Smith. That kind of ends it on the spot. Yeah, you know it's ended. XHX just had the okay. We start again. And the problem with this play, it isn't just the armor that's gained. It's the fiddling around killing the armor smiths. Look at this weapon, the Warglaives. It's going to have to go into a 5/1. Opponent gets 2 armor. You lose a charge. A 1/3. Opponent gets 2 armor. You lose another charge. And then the 1/2. And then you probably have to go into the Risky Skipper to stop your opponent getting a good battle rage. And your weapon's gone. Your primary source of damage as a Demon Hunter used up. So XHX clearly doesn't like that. Maybe he can go with the slice into the 5/1 and put the Adept into one of the Armor Smiths. That was something he would have looked at quite closely there. And now we're on Are You Still Alive watch, because with this green skin coming in now as well to just buff the weapon, buff everything, XHX is not going to be still alive for much longer. Unless Siu gets like one of the worst runs of cards you've ever seen. Just green skin, put a Titanic in the way. Well, you attack first to see what you get, put a Titanic in the way, and off you go. And Siu is just going to do that. Next turn we'll be able to have access to spells as well. XHX then. What manner of conceding would you like to do? I mean, you've got to face tank 5 to even start a turn here. You can give this one up. That's going to be 1 each. I've written it down on my book. 1-1. Come on, XHX, catch up. So he has brought Priest, and Priest is a decent favourite against Warrior, or so it was believed. But this version of Warrior with the Deathwing Mad aspect, with the Captain Greenskin, is definitely better against Priest than previous versions. Tic Tac and Zananananan played Priest against Meaty and Gabby, who were playing this version of Warrior, and Meaty and Gabby won 8-3 with the Warrior. Now that's probably a bit of an outlier, but even so, it's definitely better than it was. The old version of Warrior just doesn't beat Priest 8-3 in the best of 11. So this works out quite strangely, with the Warrior urgently wanting battle rage and picking stuff up and having to make very early decisions about how it wants to inflict its damage, because mercenaries in particular can only have so many uses, and obviously you can only use them once each. So when you play them, you have to decide here and now, like, am I going for combo? Or am I just going to make a really big board and hope it gets there? The life of a Bloodsworn mercenary is a complicated one. This, however, is the start you want, with Rampage in hand. If this is not dealt with now, Rampage makes it really difficult to deal with. We can see there is a time rip, but the damage will be done. And again, it's another of those decisions that impact the whole game. You're going to have a 4/11 minion for at least 2 turns, but you are getting rid of your combo. Makes the choice that makes the most sense. But again, that's now gone. And next turn, he has an even bigger decision to make with the mercenaries. You know, do you want another 4/11 or whatever it's going to be if there's any trading goes into it? Meanwhile, XHX has a decision here. Because this was left up, he can consider an early apotheosis. You normally use this to get yourself back in the game. You stick it on a big minion later on when the warrior has burned out, and you get all your health back, and the warrior's wasted so many resources beating you up, and then it has to do it all again, that it just cannot finish the job. But this is an interesting position. This 4/11 is a problem, and XHX has got the chance to put an absolutely gigantic apotheosis down, but instead actually does it this way. So now, an almost undealable with, I'm pretty sure that's a word, 313. And it is an emergency now for Siu. He has to deal with this now. Like, this doesn't wait. You get rid of all plans, get rid of all notion of how do I win this game of Hearthstone the regular way, and you work out the best way to deal with this thing, and then you look at your hand and say, can I still win the game? Because otherwise you lose to the fact you can't do damage, because this just heals up every turn. And even worse, maybe he gets another apotheosis and then all manner of ugh. So that's one of those picked off by XHX. Be interesting to see how he looks after the health total on this with healing and stuff. He certainly won't want it to die, but die it will. Siu has an irritating problem here, which is he'd really like to copy this again with the mercenaries, but he just has to deal with his 3/7, and now it's dealt with. Let's have a look at the hand. Well, he's still got Skipper Armorsmith, but that doesn't really matter. He's got Skipper and Bomber. That's a little bit more exciting. In fact, it's quite a lot more exciting. Deathwing is more of a board clear, but occasionally you can stick it down. The trouble is that your opposing Shadow Earth Deaths don't have many targets in this game, so they tend to sort of clutter up in your hand. So they're just looking for something to blow up. There's just the Brutes and the Deathwing. That sounds wrong, but that's all that comes to mind. Because Grommash isn't a minion that's ever in play, it just kills you. And then it's not in play anymore because the game is over. So XHX, this is the first... Well, I was going to say it's the first time he's had to think. It's not the first time he's had to think, it's the first time he's had a really tough decision to make, I think. Works out okay for him. Not the lucky he'll be looking for, but it's okay. Taunts are okay against Warrior if played at the right time. And he has seen one of the mercenaries, he has seen one of the rampagers. So the chance of getting comboed out of nowhere are pretty skinny. So XHX trying to compile his own defence. The double breaths obviously being saved, that can just wipe out a board at some point. And armour doesn't matter, like if Siu... Sorry, armour almost never matters. So if Siu gains a load of armour, it's unlikely to matter because the priest just runs you out of ways to kill the priest, and then eventually they'll play a Galakond and stick a minion, or the warrior will just run out of cards because it's plays of battle rages. So the ability to gain armor is basically 0 for Seer. Yeah, he's just using this as a minion that can attack. He's not doing anything clever with it. And making these small annoying boards is extremely important against Priest. You'll see Rogue do the same thing. You don't really want to kill off any of these minions. Not only that, but Seer's made it hard to kill off any of these minions. Like, which one do you steal and which one do you bump it into? With a Shadow Madness, for instance. Do you really want to use double Breath of the Infinite to kill this lot? Of course you don't. Do you want to bump into one and Breath of the Infinite? Maybe, but you've killed a 2-1 and a 1-1 and a 1-2 in exchange for a weapon charge and a good spell. So you keep presenting these irritating little boards, and the priest has to leave some of them up, and that's a way of chipping in 5 damage that you may not have got otherwise. And if he does blow this board up, look at all the stuff waiting in hand for Siu to come onto the board afterwards. That's the deal here. You're trying to force just enough on the tipping point for the priest to either not remove anything and you hit them, or to remove rubbish and then you play the good stuff. That's how you play against control. So that's it, you're all Hearthstone gods now, right? Me too. So it seems a good time to play the green skin. The only reason to even debate it is that you'd much rather it be on a Lance than on the Ankar. The Ankar does run out of getting things eventually, if it hasn't already. And the things it gets aren't that great, although it does thin out your deck to get you to combo zones quicker. Also the prospect here of doing very little, with the aim being to get a Deathwing down next turn. Oh, so he's going to go crazy with the bomber. Doesn't pick up a weapon. Does pick up a Grom. Now you've got to decide if you want the bomb to go face or if you want it to try and kill the 4-3. You've got another weapon. So Siu has got the weapon. It looks like the bomb hit the minion because the Armorsmith couldn't trade. Yeah. It has to decide if, yeah, he wants to go face because he wants to reload the other weapon next turn. That's what he's decided here. He does also have, obviously, Risky Skipper Grom, which is just 9 mana, 10 damage. And XHX has to be careful every time. And another nonsense board presented by Siu in the best possible way. You don't want to deal with this board. I don't want to deal with this board. Don't make me deal with this board. Yeah, just the absolute last thing XHX wants to do is deal with this board. It shouldn't hurt you, but it's going to. And couple this with next turn a weapon and a green skin, and suddenly you're taking a lot of damage. Kind of need to stop this right now. Another problem is leaving up injured minions means that the brutes get easy to cast. Yeah, and he's had to do it, and that's a win for Siu. Kind of. I mean, he doesn't want his things blown up, but if they're going to get blown up, that's how you want them blown up. This urgently needs dealing with, though. I think you put the bomb into the 2-7 and see what happens, and then plan the rest of your turn. It injures something anyway, so that's good if you want to play a brute. And I don't think you can make a serious judgment on what you want to do this turn until you've decided how you're going to deal with it. You're never going face here. Oh, I see, you could be Deathwinging. In which case you want the bomb to hit face at the end of the Deathwinging sometimes, I guess. Yeah, okay. So here's an issue for you to deal with, but it's 3 extra damage the way he did it. Well, 4, because you get to hit the face as well. So there you go, I'd have been too hasty. But I have to try and say it before he does it, you know? That's kind of what I'm supposed to do. So over the course of all of these videos, I wonder how many excuses I've managed to come up with. Hopefully they're all fresh and inventive for you. hate to use the same excuse twice. You want to play the Sethek here and Shadow Word Death and see where you're at. That would be my hasty look. See what spell you pick up, and then work out the rest of your turn. Just like the failed Deathwing turn we just had. Penance is really nice. But you know what's not really nice is being on 13 health. You've got to put something in the way. Now you've got loads of ways of doing that. My preferred way would actually be to play the 1-drop. Yes. Oh, beautiful, getting some poison. And now he can buff up exactly what I would have done here. Shield of Galakron may have been, you know, a bit terrifying. It's only 1 minion. But this can fight back if you're still alive next turn. And Seer's getting really close to just winning the game. He's got the Inner Rage, so Grom Inner Rage is 12 if you get to that point. And that will be on his mind. And you'll hear me say it a lot. Be on his mind to the end of the game now. Looks like he's thinking of setting up Skipper, Bomb Wrangler, and just throwing bombs everywhere and see where he ends up. There'll be bombs thrown back by the opposing Bomb Wrangler. This is probably going to result in some face damage. It's probably going to result in clearing the board. There's no way of getting any more injuries. Unless he wants to use the mercenaries to copy the bomber. He's thinking about it, you know. That's so much damage if he does that, but sadly goes the more sensible, I want to say, route. A 1 and a 4, so that's fair before anybody cries. Exactly average. And lethal is in the hand. How are you going to get above 12? Well, luckily for XHX, he has a taunt minion. It's all getting a bit sketchy though. Corcoran Elite would now be lethal. He can play the Corcoran Elite, innervate them to give them 6 attack. Have I got caster mana? No, you're good. And then play mercenaries to get another 6 attack minion. Put one of them into the taunt, and then a weapon and the other one into the face. Of course, the face might well be healed. Can he work that out? That he needs to heal face? Well, he can definitely work it out. We've seen him play. Does he need to penance his own minion? No. $12 is still 12. You should get a chance to penance something next turn. Opponent has 9 cards left. It might... Yeah, he's scared. He knows that this can just go wrong. But there is no Corcoran in hand at the moment, so he should be okay. Oh. Don't think there's another Lance, otherwise he could Corsair cash for it. I think you just play the Lance and the green skin and use your health as a resource. Oh, there is another one. Okay, this is better then. Now we can finish it off with the Warmaw. Oh, nice little bonus there, picking up the Titanic Lackey. Some good options for that coming up. But now it's an open goal. XHX is facing down 14 damage next turn. Or 15. Well, he can get to 15. And he hasn't got a taunt. I don't think he's got any way around it. And Siu looks like he's going to pick up a 2-1 lead. And he'll have a mirror match for all of the biscuits. Beating the priest is such a big deal. By the way, just looking at these bans, I was trying to work out why XHX had access to Demon Hunter and Warrior. Because that doesn't seem fair. You shouldn't have access to it. And Hunter was banned out here. Which is unusual. Seer takes 2-1 lead. Remember last turn when he Corsair Cushed? Yeah, that was a thing, right? And now he has a weapon with +1 on it. So he's trying to work out the best BM by the look of it. He's going full combo. I don't know. However you're comfortable. Me, I just want to do it with the fewest number of cards possible because that's the fewest number of clicks I can get wrong. 2-1. Right, what is this on the right, on the left? Skull, poisonous. Does that mean he's toxic? I doubt it very much. Brainy. I need to know. I need to know what those symbols are by the players' names. Okay, Warrior Mirror match. So many different ways of playing this, and I think it is a true mirror. They're both playing Tolvir, they're both playing Greenskin, they're both playing Deathwing. And basically it's find your opportunity and take it. You can play this so many ways. You can run them out of stuff completely sometimes. Other times you just play a Tolvir and load it up with 2 Rampages and the opponent can't deal with it. So many ways. Let's have a look at the hands that are forming. Siu doesn't have a hand right now, he has a foot. XHX does have the Corsair Cash. It's going to be slow, he's going to be okay. And Siu now having that double armor smith means that this could get weird. XHX has quite an aggressive looking start. Not necessarily the first 2 or 3 turns, but he's got risky skippers and bomb wranglers that could just launch all over the place. That can often get you in a situation where you do, let's, again, ruin the numbers time, but let's call it 15 to 20 damage. And then hope your opponent doesn't have Armor Smith. Well, Siu has 2 of them. And if he finds a way to activate them, we could see a game where XHX, this has ruined everything I was saying, but we could see a game where XHX would have done a lot of damage and then had it all armoured back up again. But now we're on a much more level playing field. Does find the anchor, which means that Risky Skipper will be found. 3 swings, 5 pirates. Should find one unless you're incredibly unlucky. But XHX definitely has the lead in development, the lead in good card quality. And Siu is hanging on in there. If you play this, I think you also play the Inner Rage on it. So he doesn't do that. Would much rather wait and try and get a Rampage at the same time. I want to see this turn. Oh, it's kind of why I'm here. I want to see what he does. You normally hit your opponent here in the face, like almost always, because they're going to take damage, and your job is to kill them, and you can't do that without damaging them. But Siu has had not a lot going on. He's played off curve, and he might want to battle rage for a small number. It doesn't really matter very often, and XHX is showing that he doesn't believe in that nonsense either. It definitely was worth consideration. Now he's got to decide about Risky Skippers. So if it looks obvious that you play Risky Skipper Bomb Wrangler, it's not obvious. In the mirror, one of the ways you lose is to be the first person to use both your Risky Skippers. And both players are going to get both their Risky Skippers because of the way the Ankars have been drawn. So you always do this. This is what I was trying to say last turn about Siu. You do this because your opponent now can't use their Warm Challenger to trade into yours. It will get blown up. So if you play it as a 110, you should always Inner Rage it. And then it's going to sit around on the board a lot longer. Not only that, but it's a monster. Look at it. Combo kills not so much a thing as just running your opponent out of stuff in this. Although XHX now has license to have that on his mind at least. Quite hard for him to empty his hand if he doesn't go for Skipper, but I think now he's picked up Grom, he'll be a lot more tempted to just really commence some beatings. I think I'd like to see him here make some bombs and hit some faces. Again, that's, you know, it's difficult because we can see that Soyu's going to do the Armorsmith thing at some point. South Sea Captain. I think that the reason that Pirate Warrior has gained a little traction in the murky areas of Legend is because South Sea Captain draws in this particular matchup always feel so great. Things Reborn, I believe that does. Do not ask what it's called. First of all, I won't hear you, and secondly, I haven't got a clue. But it does give it Reborn, so I knew what it did, so yes. That counts as a win. Well, Soyu, talking of counts as wins. Quite a difficult looking clear here, but maybe it's time to swing in. So if he gets greens, he can't get greens because he's had it, right? So I think he's guaranteed another 1-drop. In which case, he can clear a lot of this. Probably do a full clear if he wanted to use his inner ray to get rid of the last part of the Reborn. How much armor would he gain? A lot. Yep. And the soundtrack, getting the rope dead right. Do you do the other one? I think you do. He's looking for the brute, which is interesting because that does cut down his potential health total. But he does clear the board, and his opponent's health total is what is on his mind now. Okay, XHX, you have had this hand all game. I think you need to do something with it now. This matchup is so difficult. Combination of preserving resources and using resources. And Soyu seems to have had this nicely worked all game. XHX quite rightly preserving risky skippers, it felt like, but maybe missing a chance a turn or two ago to start using them. Just because of this, like, your hand's not going anywhere now. And I think XHX is going to have to take 5? That doesn't work. Might have to. 1, 2. And he's pushing this. He might just be too late to do anything. Depends how far the rope's gone on his side. But wow. That turn was absolute chunks of nothing. Now Soya will be scared about the Armorsmiths coming back at him. We can see they're not going to happen, but he doesn't know that. So although we're looking at it like, my goodness, won't somebody just hit their opposition and then they'll win the game? The players are a bit concerned because they've got to add quite a lot of potential healing onto that. So unless you're actually winning the game, then you're not winning the game. It's amazing the sense you can talk when you try hard enough. think I'd like to see him put the Armour Smith into the Brute here and then play a War Maul. And leave his own Brute as a 5/7 so it's just indestructible. He's actually putting his face in. Preserving the Armour Smith. Also deciding that he doesn't think that XHX has another War Maul. There's been opportunities for him to play it, so doesn't need to inner rage like we were talking about on this. He can save that for his Grommash now, and that might be really, really important. From this point on, remember the players are thinking in terms of 12s, and even more when it gets to turn 9, as potential combo kills. And they're both cutting it a bit fine. I think it's time to go bombing, yeah. The Wranglers have just sat on the sidelines this whole game. I think it's time they did something. This is what he's been building up to. Oh, had a draw for lethal there. 6, 7, 8. Nowhere near though. Grommash was lethal. Just taking a second to reset his mind. For all he knows, there could be a lethal coming back at him. So really needs to be careful on how he defuses these bombs. Looks like he's bracing himself here, but I don't think it's over just yet. I'm curious to see how Sue plays this. This is so hard from a caster perspective now, because it's all about what your read is. Do you want to gain a load of armour and risk, like, setting all these bombs off? You probably have to. Although, yeah, that's just not good. Like, he's going to set off the bombs, I think. Not only that, but he didn't play the Armour Smith first, which was an opportunity to get another armour point. Anyway, let's see how it works out. It's a bit of a mess of a turn, but it was a very difficult turn. And, I mean, that just couldn't have gone better for him. The bombs hit minions, didn't kill the minions, gave him some armour. And Sears not only on 30 health, but has got himself out of a bit of a tricky situation there. He's one draw away from winning the game, basically from now to the end of the game too. Should be able to put on some pressure with Deathwing in a lot of situations next turn. XHX. I feel Risky Skipper, Captain... do I feel anything? I don't know. Yeah, and then Battle Rage and see what happens. I've done a lot of see what happening today, but you just die though. Maybe you have to put the bomb into the 5/4 and see if that play's available even. Pressure. Normally I don't think of roping as pressure, but I don't think either of these two players have made their decision by the time the ropes started in like the last 4 turns, because it's been so complex. So he can kill off the Grom multiple ways here. Inner raging just up an Armour Smith for instance. He won't want to do that, but your opponent's Grom has gone. You're getting rid of a lot of the danger, although you're still scared, or Seal will still be scared of Korkan Elites. Well, they're not going to kill him anytime soon. Put the 1/1 in first. Come on! That's another armour miss there. So Seal's mechanics have been a bit wobbly. But not necessarily his thinking. They are two different things. A lot of casters have bad mechanics because they do play the game a lot, but they're they spend a lot of time watching the game as well, trying to learn the strategies, learn what's going on underneath everything. Don't necessarily press the buttons in the right order. Especially me. Like, I'm not speaking for other people so much. Me, I'm one of those. So he's going for, I don't know, execute. He's got to get something to attack with first. 6. Is there any way he can kill this? Is there any way he can get a taunt? I think it's just over. I think that Siu's got this done for Suning, and VK are actually going to lose a Hearthstone game. Go to 5 and 2 would put Suning on 3 and 5. Oh, he's got a draw here, but it's going to be way too late. You might not even see the cards, to be honest. And he gives it up. Nice work from Siu there. And Suning go to that 3 and 5.